Welcome back into another episode of Lynx Unleashed, the official podcast of the Minnesota Lynx. Wendell Epps joined alongside Rebekkah Lamar Brunson, assistant coach for the Minnesota Lynx.
She's the WNBA's all-time rebounding leader and the only player in league history with 5 championship rings. From the Minnesota Lynx, Rebekkah Brunson.
Coach, thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Of course. I'm excited that we have a podcast.
Yeah,
this is
exactly,
nice. You've been doing great. I love the content that you've been gathering.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's been a great year to join, right? Minnesota Lynx off to a really great start this season. I want to go back to training camp coming into this year. You know, what were some of the conversations like with the players? What were some of your expectations for the team? And, you know, now seeing where they are now, number one in the Western Conference, just what has stood out to you about the way they played so far this season?
I mean, even before we started camp, when we started to, put the pieces together, then you started to be excited because we filled some holes that we felt like we had in our roster last season, right? So we made all of those trades and got free agents. The draft was coming. We got our draft pick. So before we even started, I think we're excited about the possibility of what this team could be. Did we know we would be sitting at first in the West? No. But we did feel like we would be competitive. So just the group of young women that we have coming in, they all have bought into everything that we asked them to do, right? They've stepped outside of themselves and gotten uncomfortable. If we need you to be more of a point guard, we need you to press up and defend full court, no matter what the ask is, they're so willing to try their best to get it done, right? So the buy-in has been something that stands out to me. And then just, we always try to get good culture pieces, right? We got a good group of people, right?
Definitely.
They're fun to be around. Every time we come into the gym, it's a good atmosphere. The energy is great. So at this point to the season, I think that the people that we have and the buy-in that we have has allowed us to kind of be at the top of this league. I
knew once you guys added Courtney Williams that energy was just going to skyrocket.
And she said it. She said it. I had a conversation with her before the season started, and she was like, this is going to be fun.
Exactly. And I know there's been some memorable games so far this season, but of course the Commissioner's Cup championship win, had to be the biggest of them all, getting that W over the New York Liberty. Walk me through that night. What were some of your expectations coming into that game, and what was it like the aftermath, being able to celebrate with your team of getting that cup and getting the money as well?
I mean, first I would say that the energy that throughout the season, right? The energy that you have when you go into these arenas, it's different, right? It's high level. So you don't know what to expect when you go into the Commissioner's Cup. We hadn't been there before. It's an in-season tournament. You kind of don't know how people feel, how they're rallying around it. So the energy in that building I feel like let us know that this was something. This was important. And I feel like we always felt like, we were going to be able to win. There was a lot of stuff that was happening, not being able to play in Barclays Center, right? Having to play at a different arena, having conversations about changing the game date, and all of those things that were kind of trying to throw us off. But we knew what the goal was, and we went in there, and it was just fun to watch them compete at that level.
Alana Smith dives down to the floor, and Alana Smith gets a steal. Here comes Bridget Carlton attacking inside and scoring! Yeah! 3 on the shot clock. Long 2 on the way from court. Rattles home for 2. BC pull up 3 from the left lane. Get in there.
You have people on this team saying that they never won anything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's you kind of, for the people like me and Cheryl and Katie who have won actual championships and EP, all of the staff, right? We've won championships in this league. And to be around a group, you have this thing that could be minimalized in a way, right? You can make it, it's just this.
Right.
It's just the Commissioner's Cup, right? But for players that haven't won anything, this is a huge deal. So you laugh and you say it's about the money, but winning, I mean, that's what it's really about. I don't care what it is, what we're playing, what we're doing. Exactly. I want to win.
Yeah.
So to have those players be able to have a moment like that, to be able to pop bottles at the end, have the champagne, get your goggles on, all the things. It was fun to see them be able to celebrate like that. And a little bit of me is like, keep that fire.
Exactly.
That doesn't have to be it. Let's keep going.
For sure. Let's keep going. Let's get the real championship for sure. That's awesome. And the great thing about that game was obviously Fee, K-Mac, they delivered as they've been doing all season. But BC, I mean, what a game she had. Chechi off the bench as well. It was a total team effort. And that's one of the big things that I've really noticed, calling games for this team all season, just the depth of this Lynx team. You can plug and chug all these players. Ollie's had some games where she's come out. I mean, everyone, Alyssa Peely having a career high 20 points against Phoenix earlier. I mean, everyone's been able to shine as a coach. What is that like, knowing that you can trust, your entire team 1 through 12?
It's so important to have that. because every game is not going to be for the starters, and that's why you need to have a solid bench, and that's why you need to have depth, right? Because as we see right now, players aren't shooting the way that they were in the beginning of the season. You need other players that you trust enough to put in the game and have them deliver. So yeah, Chechi, big game. BC, I tell her all the time, like, we need you to be somebody that comes in the game ready to score, because I know that you're capable of doing it. So Peely had the big game. Dorcas had good games. Everybody. So it's important to have that depth, and that gets you through the season, right? You don't want to wear your starters down. You want to figure out how you can take some of the load off of them so that, especially with a condensed season, right? We do get the All-Star break, but it's still condensed on both ends. So you have to be able to look at your bench and feel like you can trust them enough to put them in the game. And not necessarily they have to take over, but just be steady.
Right.
And we have a steady group that we trust top to bottom.
Yeah, that's awesome. Making an impact game in and game out. And of course, you have a lot of great experiences that you've been able to share, of course, as a player, having a storied career here with the Minnesota Lynx. Walk me through those years, getting those championships. What really stood out when you look back at those years now? What was maybe the number one or number two thing that really just stood out to you about those years with the Lynx?
I mean, it was always about the group of players that I was playing with, because the core was always the same. There was always going to be me, Mama, Moan, Way. Whatever else shifted and changed, we got Seal, we had Taj, we had so many other players, Renee Montgomery, Devereaux Peters, like all of these players that we had, our core was the same. And no matter what was changing, we were riding for each other. So when I look back at that journey, I'm coming from Sacramento. I had already won a championship there. And then coming from Sacramento to here, like, when we talk about the chemistry that we want to build, that's real life. Like, we have good people that you want to go to work with. So the first thing is definitely the chemistry of the players.
And still being connected with the Lynx fan base now as a coach. I mean, walk me through, your decision process of wanting to get into coaching after playing. Did you know that was always something you wanted to do?
No, I didn't. And it's funny because I always said that I wouldn't be sitting here as a coach just because of the, intensity that I brought as a player.
Yeah.
And I thought that I would be more frustrated with certain players' inability to do what I felt was simple for them to do, right? I thought that would be a really frustrating place. But instead, it's super rewarding, right? When you see players be able to grow in a certain way and be able to accomplish things that they themselves didn't think that they could do because you kind of have that faith and that pressure on them, it's fun to watch.
Right.
It's fun to watch them, the light bulbs go off for them. But no, I didn't think that I was going to be coaching. Cheryl's special in that way, where she sees things in you that you might not see in yourself, and she felt like I would be a good fit on the staff, a good coach to be able to kind of help guide and mold these players. So when she saw that, of course, if she comes to me, I'm like, hey, whatever you need, Cheryl.
Whatever you need, Cheryl.
Whatever you need, Cheryl. Yeah. So she saw that, and then now I just love it. I love being able to be behind the scenes a little bit, to be able to push the players, to be able to help them reach their maximum potential. I just fell in love with it when I didn't even know I needed it. Yeah,
I mean, especially with this year's team, so many great players, awesome personalities, not just coaching these people as players, but also getting to know them, form relationships as a person as well, form that connection. Was there something that you learned about the game of basketball now as a coach that maybe you didn't really fully understand when you were playing?
I think that Cheryl always did a good job of making sure that we understood that it was about the details.
Brunson, you're just posting. All right. You're open, you go score.
And as a coach, it's the same thing. When you're going through and you're preparing, it's all about the details. And then being able to have to instill that in the players, right? So I don't think there's anything that now I'm like shocked. But no, it's just been such a special ride. I don't think I'm super surprised. I guess I'm just surprised at how much I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously 2 All-Stars on this year's team, right? Nafisa Collier came in at 5. Let's start with Fee first. I mean, obviously what she's been able to do her entire career, her story of being a mom and then still being a basketball player and delivering at a very high level. What is she like as a player? What is she like as a person? How's it been like coaching Fee?
I mean, she's a Lynx. Through and through. She's a great person, and she's a tremendous player, right? She puts the work in. Being able to kind of sit back and watch her seek more information, more knowledge, more understanding of what she could do to get better when she's already one of the most elite players in this league. I just love the way that she approaches her craft of basketball, and I love that she's a great human being.
Yeah, you can definitely sense that easily with Fee. Just a great person overall. And then K-Mac with her, been shooting lights out this season, Coach. I mean, she's been absolutely fantastic from long range. She's been a huge boost on the offensive end and the defense, too. Overall, this season with K-Mac, what have you seen from her? What makes her an all-star caliber player?
I mean, she's been shooting lights out. First of all, I think we're spoiled now because everything that goes up, we think is going in. We want it to go in.
Yeah.
We get mad when it doesn't.
Right,
She
yeah.
can't make them all. I think that she always plays with the caliber of performance that is warranted of being an all-star, right? So I'm glad that she's getting that recognition. It's very important to her because she puts the time and she puts the work in, and she knows that she's one of the best players in this league, and she deserves to be on that court and get that recognition for it. So the two of them, I mean, I think they approach every game with an attitude of being elite, and I'm glad that they're getting the recognition for it. Yes, Fee is going to be on the Olympic team, which is great, and they'll be playing against each other, which is going to be super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Right?
That's going to be very fun.
But I'm glad that they're getting their flowers.
Yeah,
They deserve it.
exactly. And I mean, just talk about this Lynx fan base. You know, I know you touched on when you were here as a player, but now here as a coach and seeing, you know, the Lynx now getting back to where they once were, you know, being number one right now in the West, a very realistic chance of competing for the WNBA championship this year. You know, what have been some of your impressions about the Lynx fan base this season and the way they've been able to support this team through thick and thin?
Yeah, I love our fan base, and I think that even when we weren't talked about as teams that were going to be at the top of the league, our fan base always showed up as if we were going to be able to be successful at the end of the season, and they push us. Really, even in the seasons when we weren't at the top of the league, they pushed us consistently showing up. And we in Minneapolis. You only get a couple minutes of warm weather, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really be thoughtful with what you're going to do with your summertime, and to have people feel into an arena inside where they could be outside, they could be on the lake, they could be on the boat, they could be doing all the things on the rooftop, all the things that
a lot of
Minnesotans
things.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, when it's warm outside.
Yeah.
But instead, they're choosing to spend their time inside with us. And that's so important, and that's one of the things that I really think about is just the sacrifice of nice weather to support us consistently, whether we're at the top or whether we're at the middle of the pack or whether you might think we're at the bottom. It doesn't matter. They show up. So I'm always going to be appreciative for this fan base and what they do and how they show up and continuing to make it our house.
Exactly, and the 4th of July game too this season.
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of special things for the Lynx, no doubt about that. What have been some of your favorite things to do in Minnesota now, having lived here for a while? What has that been like? What do you like to do outside of basketball?
I love all those things I just mentioned. I love going out to the lakes. I love going on the boats. I love eating. I think Minneapolis has a great food scene.
Underrated for sure.
Super underrated.
Very underrated.
I lived in San Diego and they always talk about the food. I'm like, no, come here. I do love being outside. As much as my allergies don't like it, I try to be outside as much as possible. I got 2 littles, so
that's
we're
awesome.
always doing something.
That's fantastic. And I mean, overall, looking back at your time in the WNBA and now here as a coach, what has been maybe your most memorable moment or conversation that you've had with a player as a coach? Has there been just like a favorite coaching memory that you have so far through your time with the Lynx?
As a coach, I don't have a favorite coaching memory from any players. No, I love our group right now.
Yeah.
I can say that. I love the conversations that I have with Diamond. I just had a conversation with her today, being able to make sure that I allow them to stay focused and understand what part of the journey they're in. You know, I have the conversations with Sika and Pili. I like taking the ones that aren't where they want to be and letting them know that if you keep doing things the right way, if you keep working hard, putting in the time, that you will get there. Right, I love having the conversations where I can help them recognize what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, where they can be great until they figure out the other things. So there's not one specific conversation that I've had. It's just those conversations that resonate with me. Just being able to guide our young group. Yeah,
it's the beauty of coaching, getting to help out the next generation of ball players. Always a lot of fun, I'm sure. And you know, one of the other things that you do too is I know you do some TV work as well. Yep. You know, outside of coaching, how has that been like? Obviously, as someone who's a broadcaster myself, I'm always a fan of anyone that wants to get in front of the camera and do that kind of thing. What have you enjoyed most about being able to be on TV doing some analyst work?
Well, it's not necessarily to being on TV because I would prefer not to have the shine on myself, but I love talking about basketball. I love being able to give the fans some information or some points of perspective that they might not already have. And then, you know, you can't be mad talking about the Wolves right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're really good.
They are a special team, and I think they're going to continue to get better. I think they did a great job in the draft that they just had, making sure they fill some holes and get some good pieces in here. But I just love being able to inform the viewer. Yeah. Being able to give them some perspective, being able to break down the game a little bit more for them so that when they do watch, they can say, if there's just one thing that I said and they say, now I see it. right? I love
Right.
being able to give them that perspective.
That's awesome. I love that. And obviously, with the growth of women's basketball a lot, the future's definitely bright for it. What excites you most about the upcoming years, about the WNBA? Where do you maybe see it going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I mean, just the growth that we have right now, it's amazing. We just talked about All-Star. And if you're looking at the votes for the top All-Star vote getter last year, like 70,000. And then you look at it this year, it's like 600,000,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that in 1 year has been, I don't think anybody would imagine the growth that would come from that. Yeah, we knew that we would have the eyes for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all of those things, which actually bring attention to the other great players. It wasn't just those players that were getting hundreds of thousands of votes, right? There were other players as well, because now the visibility of the game is there. So I think that that's just going to continue to grow. I don't think that this is just something that this season is going to be, the anomaly of it. I think that viewership and media responsibility and of coverage and the partnerships and the branding, all of that is going to continue to get better. Right, this is just the starting point for us. So I just think that we're going to continue to grow as a league because we have an amazing product and people are now being able to understand and respect that.
That's awesome, Coach. All right, well, we're going to head to our final segment now. We're going to play a little bit of rapid fire. We've been doing that with all the players.
All right.
You good with rapid fire?
Yeah,
What's your
let's
history
go.
with that? All right, let's go. All right, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
What's one food you can't live without?
Broccoli.
Describe your coaching style. Broccoli. Yeah,
Yo, broccoli,
I was going to say.
broccoli is the best tasting thing. I don't care what anybody says. It's
You know when people say pizza or
nope,
burgers,
nope,
chicken,
no, I
steak?
get tired of pizza. I get tired of everything else. I never get tired of broccoli.
Describe your coaching style using just one word.
Passionate.
What's your favorite city to visit on the road?
Seattle.
If you had to compete in a talent show, what would be your talent?
Ooh, it would not be singing. It would not be dancing. I give you a lot of knots of those things. I would sing.
Okay.
And I can't sing.
Yeah,
But I would sing
you would
and
try.
I would be passionate and I would
it'd
be
be
good.
passionate singing
be
out your heart.
mesmerizing.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite genre of music?
R&B.
Love it. Well, 90s R&B, 80s
90s,
R&B,
90s
R&B.
R&B.
See, even I was not live in the 90s, but I listened to 90s R&B on a constant. 90s R&B, can't beat it.
My wife gets in the car and she's like, "You put me to sleep." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't care. I'm listening to this."
Yeah, exactly. I'm listening to this for sure. What's your favorite hobby to do outside of basketball?
Watch movies.
If you weren't coaching, what would you be doing right now?
Broadcasting.
And what's one fun fact a lot of people don't know about you?
I'm a twin.
Really?
Yes.
Are you the older twin?
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah.
Am I?
You're like,
Crazy
yeah.
how you forget? No, I'm the baby.
You're the baby twin.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes
It's just-
separated.
Yeah, it's just 2 minutes.
Dang,
Yeah.
I tried to take his crown.
Yeah. you had it there. You could have said it. I wouldn't have
wouldn't go
known.
with it. I would not do that to him. I would not do that to him.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Well, we really appreciate you for coming on. The season has obviously been such a blast for myself, for the fans. Everyone's enjoying what y'all are doing. So keep up the great work. We're looking forward to seeing what the Lynx can continue to do.
Thank you. We love having you,
Yeah.
too. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. All right. That'll do it for today's episode of Lynx Unleashed with Rebekkah Lamar Brunson.